What is going on out there, lacrosse fans and sports bettors alike? Welcome on in. It is week 3 of the NLL, but it is week 2 of the Bet On Lacrosse podcast. And this is where we're not only aiming to cash tickets on a weekly basis, as we're betting the fastest game on 2 feet, whether it's outdoors, whether it's indoors, box, field, I don't care. We're looking to cash some money, and we're also aiming to make you better bettors. I'm your host, Dan Alexander. You can get me on Twitter at Newbie Talks. And today I'm joined by yet another special guest and fellow PLT contributor. I got my man with the beard, and that thing is looking strong, PB. I got Parker Blake. You can get him on Twitter at Parker Blake 60. My man, great to be back with you. How you doing, brother?
No, I'm great, man. I was just talking to you about it before the show, man. I feel like it's been forever since I've been on here, man. I'm missing it so bad, man. Glad to be back.
It's been too long, brother. I'm happy to have you back on. Last week, Brian Andrews doing a great job, and huge thanks. I mean, the work that you guys do, we were just talking about as we were getting prepped with the Bet On Lacrosse report. Just put out a screenshot of it on Twitter. You can find us at Bet On Lacrosse on Twitter. We were sharing, Parker and Brian worked tirelessly getting this thing looking like tip-top shape. And I wasn't lying, man. I wasn't bullshitting you when I said the way I start my handicap is going to the Bet On Lacrosse report. I mean, that thing has been terrific. It helped us cash tickets all PLL season. So, brother, I mean, just tell the folks a little bit about the work that goes into that bad boy and what they can find by checking that thing out.
Yeah, no, first off, we're just grateful that you guys enjoy it. I mean, I remember when I first sent you those numbers in just the chat and you guys were all freaking out. I was like, oh shit, maybe people are actually interested in this.
I bowed down. I was literally like, PB, you were holding out on us, man. I saying I enjoy it is like scratching the surface. I freaking love that thing, man.
No, it's awesome, and I'm glad we've got it looking so good. I mean, I'm terrible at presentations, so shout out to Brian for just getting it looking so clean. But it's a lot because, I mean, we have lines from all over the place, and we're just trying to get the best info out there. And I really think it is helpful just going through, and it's super easy to just go through and pick teams that you're interested in checking out and seeing how they've been doing against the spread, see how the league's doing against the spread. The trends, I mean, I'm a big trend guy, you know me, I'm a big numbers guy in general. And I just being able to go in there and just see graphs pop up it's awesome for me. And I'm the one that puts it together. So, I mean, I hope you guys still like it by the end of the year.
Oh, I feel like as the year goes on, dude, we're going to like that thing even more because as the more data that we get, I mean, you're a numbers guy, you know this, the bigger sample size you have, the more you're able to extrapolate that information and actually apply that information to handicapping, to making some of these bets. It's only going to make you a more informed bettor and a stronger bettor, and that's what we aim to do each and every week here on Bet On Lacrosse. So what we're going to do this week, we're going to do a brief little recap on what you saw this past weekend in week 2. We'll let you know how we did in our picks against the spread, looking at the totals, of course, the money lines as well. We got your EMOs. They didn't get home, but we're always looking to get you some extra money opportunities. Plus money plays are tough to find. And honestly, not many plus money plays have been cashing with any regularity here through 2 weeks. We'll get to the brief week 2 recap. We'll also give you your official Bet On Lacrosse trends through the 2 weeks that we've had in the NLL. We're going to get you the week 3 preview, let you know each and every spread, money line, total of the 5 games this weekend. And before we get you out of here, we know what you're here for. You want all the info, but you want to know, well, just tell us what the hell to pick and get the hell out of our face. Don't worry. We're getting you some best bets. We're getting you some official plays. And of course, we're getting you those extra money opportunities. So with all that, let's get to it here. Start off with our week 2 recap. Like I kind of alluded to there, neither of the EMOs get home for Brian or I. And again, that's the extra money opportunity. Every week, we find at least one plus money play on the board that we like, that we ourselves would bet if we were able to actually bet them. We're looking at you, sportsbooks. Let's get some more lines out there that we can maybe bet in PA or wherever any of our where are you at, Parker?
Dude, I'm in Utah. I have to drive 2 hours to get my NFL picks in every week. You're talking to me about getting.
You're in the desert. You're in the desert of sports betting. Yeah, exactly. You need to go to the desert to sports bet because you are in the desert of sports betting. So yeah, I guess you're right. It could always be worse. You could have to drive 2 hours like my man PB. We're looking for any of those plus money plays. I was looking at the Rock last week. Not good. Brian was looking at the Mammoth, equally not good last week, but we shake it off. We move on. Our best bets did go 2-0. I was looking at the over in the Wings game. That was easy, not even a little bit of a sweat. Almost was cashing that bad boy in the first half as it was a low total of 20. Might not be seeing many of those as the year continues. The under for 23.5 and the Roughnecks and Rush got home for Brian. That did get a little sweaty, though. Let's be real, with an 11-10 final. But hey, a cash is a cash. We both also were looking towards the Riptide at plus 2.5, a very profitable endeavor, at least early here in the season as they were taking on the Wings. But it's not going to count as an official win for us because after the COVID news, we talked about this on our Twitter Spaces preview. After the news of Jeff Teat, we kind of rolled back our analysis on it a little bit. If I was able to bet it, I probably still would have. But after the Jeff Teat COVID news, we kind of took that off the board for an official play. But the Riptide plus 2.5 against the Wings did get home. You have a good week too. We're just tracking kind of our plays if we were to bet, paper tracking them a little bit. But anything stand out to you from last week, PB?
I came in, this is my first year with the NLL, and I committed to the Mammoth, and I was high on them week one, and I sold. I took them on the spread. I took the under, and you know how that went. So
yeah, what are you gonna do sometimes? Sometimes you're cashing, sometimes you're trashing, but sometimes you just gotta keep on chugging, man. The best bet sometimes is the best bets that you're not gonna make, but your best bet could just be the next bet that you make too. As far as the trends go, we love updating people. You said you're a trends guy. I rolled through our Bet on Lacrosse report featuring the NLL and have a little BOL trends for you here before we start getting to week 3. Tie a little cute little bow on week 2. We'll start with favorites. Favorites 6-1 on the money line after favorites were 5-2 in week 1. So in the NLL, Parker, we like our underdogs, man. It's not fun being a money line underdog. How about favorites, a massive 11-3 straight up through 2 weeks? That's a number that figures to come back down to earth, but credit to the odds makers. They're being able to see who should be favored on the money line, and those favorites are coming home for them. Not many plus money opportunities for folks, man.
No, but you talk about the favorites winning. Don't forget the best part about it, though. The favorites might win, but who's cashing the spreads?
Now we're talking. Great teams cover. The good teams cover. They might be the ones who are winning. I'm glad you mentioned that, man, because the underdogs, they did last week come back down to earth a little bit, at least against the spread. Some lopsided wins for some of these favorites. Dogs were only 2-5 against the spread in week 2 after they started the year 6-1. So, still profitable if you're just blindly backing them on the spread, backing some of those underdogs. One of the things that's worth mentioning too, just like in the PLL, plus 2.5 has been strong, even without Jeff Teat. Riptide getting the cover. Perfect 3-0 for teams getting that 2.5. So, that's a juicy spot. There's 2.5 on the board that you might just be hearing about later. But, the underdogs are still cashing tickets, though. It was a stark contrast to what happened in week 1. I mean, week 1, you and I were loving it, man. It was a dog's paradise.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of cooled off in week 2.
Like you said, though, the 2.5 spread, we've been talking about it, how in the PLL, it started off, we got a lot of them, and it started cooling off towards the end.
Dried up.
Yep. And so I really I'm telling everyone I know that can bet. I'm just just run the 2.5, even if you miss 1 or 2. It's going to end up paying off in the end.
I'm with you, man. And I think it speaks to the parity and what makes lacrosse such a fun sport, whether it's box, whether it's field. You just never know who's going to be making a run. And at least these underdogs keeping it close while the favorites have been taking care of it on the money line. I know you're a total guy too, my man, something that we might also be talking about here in just a little bit, but overs also cooled off a bit. In week 1, the games were 5-2 to the over. You must have been loving it last weekend because you're my under guy. Whenever
Yeah,
I'm really loving a play that like I need someone to even me out, I go to my man Parker and I say, all right, make a case for the under, because this guy can make a case for the under between like two teams that are the best offenses in the world. It'd be, well, the weather might be a little bit off, and maybe this is strength on strength. It's good rushing defense when we're talking about football. But for what it's worth, games were 4-3 to the under. So that leaves us a grand total 8 overs, 6 unders. So total betting, you've basically been flipping a coin. But any thoughts on the totals here? Just from a trend kind of perspective, not much to be gleaned from an 8-6 to the over.
I mean, I feel like in every league, honestly, that I ever look at, the under always creeps in there. I don't know if it's because the books know everyone loves the over, so they juice the under or what, but the under will always creep back, and I'm going to hold true to the under. Don't you worry. It might be right under 50% right now, but it's coming back. Don't you worry.
I like it. This is the conductor of the under train. Choo choo is rolling through the station. He's Parker Blake. Again, you can get him on Twitter at Parker Blake 60. You can follow me, Dan Alexander, at Newbie Talks. That's NEUBYTALKS. You can follow it all at Bet On Lacrosse on Twitter. Also, we're on Instagram too. Check us out over there. Bet On Lacrosse on Instagram. So let's get into it, my man. Week 3, only 5 games this week, a small but mighty slate. Some great matchups. Worth mentioning too, some more books are starting to roll out some offerings. Caesars Sportsbook is where we're going to be giving you your odds from today. Exciting that in Virginia, some other states, so they now join Cool Bet Canada and Bet US, the only books where you're able to bet NLL. Hopefully that goes higher and higher and higher and higher, because I still in Pennsylvania, I can't get down on Bupkis. So let's get that straightened out. Let your boy Newbie get in on the action too, as I'm just paper tracking my bets. And of course, this is when I'm winning all my picks. Once I start putting the money on it, Parker, that's when
it's going to go south for sure.
I'm gonna start falling back to earth. Yeah, exactly. See,
always how it goes. It's always
we know how. Yeah, the only locks are the bets that you don't play. Like I feel like I'm 100-0 on bets that I don't actually place, and figure that shit out. It's like they got my phone bugged or something. All right, enough of me bemoaning. Let's get in. It's week 3, my man, and we got Colorado visiting Panther City. Colorado laying some road chalk, -185. So that means you're getting Panther City +1.5 on the spread. If you want to back PCLC on the spread or on the money line, excuse me, it's a +170 take back, and 21.5 the total in that game. You got the Seals taking on the Roughnecks. Seals also laying some road chalk, -165 as the road money line favorites, which means the Roughnecks are +1.5 on the spread. The total in that game, 21. You may be seeing a trend starting to emerge here. Also a trend, the Rush are taking on the Warriors and some more road chalk. The Rush are -175 on the money line, and the Warriors at home, despite being 2-0 and taking on an 0-2 team, are +155 on the money line. They're also +1.5 on the spread. The total in that game, a resounding 21.5. So now you got the Rochester Nighthawks. They're going on the road to take on the Albany Firewolves. And now we finally have our first home favorite. The Firewolves are actually -2.5. We talked about that deadly spot. Might be getting into that. Albany, how about their -240 on the money line? If you bet on Rochester, it's a +200 take back, 21 the total in that game. And then the final game of the weekend, in my opinion, maybe the best game on the board. It's not like I'm biased at all as a Philly guy. It's the Wings going on the road. They're taking on the Rock. The Rock also home favorites. They're -140 on the money line, 1.5 on the spread. Wings get you a +120 take back if you back them on the money line and to get the outright win. The total in that one, 21.5. So that's all the games. That's all the odds. That's all the spreads. So now you're updated. You know exactly what me and my man Parker know. You're a total guy, and I think that's where we'll start. Because kind of surprising, we do not have, according to Caesar Sportsbook, any total that's higher than 21.5. So you see that. Anything stand out for you, Parker? Anything you're seeing with the machine or any of our odds? Because I think that is a little odd, pun intended, that we only have 21.5 as our highest total.
I'm interested to see how it goes because this is either going to be a week full of sweats no matter which way you're playing it because they're all the same line. So maybe they know something, but it's either going to be a week of sweats or it's going to be an absolute slaughter for one side of this line. So I don't know if they think they know something about totals but I mean, I'm not seeing anything on my end. I mean, you know me, I love an under, but I mean, the highest points for average that we're seeing in the league is 14. So I mean, you're thinking the Bandits are going to hold a team to 7 points if we're sitting at 21 all season.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't understand the 21 line, but I'm going to sit under it. You know where I'm at.
Now, when we're running down those games and you're saying, I'll lean under on these 21s. Now, I wonder if part of it is because of, when we were just given the Bet on Lacrosse trends, that the overs were 5-2 in week 1, and then the under comes back and it was 4-3. And now, are they trying to hit some people with the zigzag theory where, the people, they were all betting double fisted on the overs and they cashed and then they did the same thing. And now they're trying to come back. So I don't know if there's any of that thought process, or they're just trying to say, hey, if we're looking at where a lot of these games are landing, it's in that 20, it's in that 21, the 22 corridor. So maybe they're just trying to hedge their bets in that aspect.
They're just pulling a raw average out there and just hoping it lands.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking as they're trying to learn the same way that we are. Is there any of these games on the board, though, that maybe didn't quite make it as a best bet for you that you say, maybe there's some value in eyeing one of these unders or I was going to say, or one of these overs, but let's be real. You're never really looking to eye any overs. So any unders stand out to you this week, my man?
I love defense, man. It is what it is.
Nothing wrong with that. I don't judge, man. I don't judge. I mean, I personally, my heart can't take constantly betting unders, but I don't judge. So, the only unders that I ever back are the ones that you or Brian talk me into. So do you have any cases to be made for any unders this week?
It's my weight loss program, man. Love a sweat. No, I love the under in this Seals Roughnecks game.
Okay.
Why? So the Seals and Roughnecks both are only averaging 10 points a game, and a lot of people might say that's really close. Mm-hmm. But you also have to remember they're not going to hit that every time. I mean, the Seals are only allowing 6 points a game, so the Roughnecks might be scoring 10, but the Seals are only allowing 6. So I like that number sitting down to 8. But really, overall, I'm going to lean to the under. I think the Seals defense just from a pure points allowed perspective is just too good to let that go above 21 in my eyes. That's really where I'm at. The machine says take the under. I look at the numbers and I see the Seals defense not allowing any points, and I want to sit on it. So
you mentioned the machine. I believe that's also some picks that you get out on Twitter, some analysis that you get on Twitter. I told people they can follow you at Parker Blake 60 on Twitter. Where can they find the machine?
I'm trying to get a Twitter going, but really what I do is I like to put a lot of my picks out there if I'm feeling like something's extra juicy or, I'm just feeling really good about some picks that we'll probably talk about later. But I try and tweet them out. I tweet them out when I remember to tweet about my picks. But they're going to be out there. It might be the 5 minutes before the game. It might be 3 days before the game, but they're going to be out there. Hold myself accountable since I can't bet on anything over here.
I love it. That's what you got to do. Got to hold yourself accountable. Now, in that game too, before we get on, we get you your best bets, we get you your EMOs, and then we get you out of here on a nice little tight slate, only 5 games this week. You're mentioning the Seals, and you were kind of making a case of, the strong defense, a little bit of those lower point totals that have been coming back for them. Now, their opponent, they're both coming off of a win. The Roughnecks, a pretty big win there. So both of them coming off of a win, both of them 1-1 on the season. You got to lay a little bit of a lumber, but Seals is minus 165. Would you feel confident backing them on the money line, even laying a little bit more juice there? Or are they maybe even worth a look on the spread? Like when you look at the side in that game, anything stand out to you there?
Yeah, honestly, the only reason it didn't make my slate is because I don't like laying anything over minus 150. That's just me.
Me too. I'm a juice adverse person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I love apple juice. I'm not a big fan of like orange juice, and just laying juice, fucking forget about it, man. I can't do it. Like anything over like 140 to 150, the highest that I'll go, unless if I really like it, is like a 160 range. But I really try and stay away from it. It's just how I manage my bankroll. Some people don't mind. Some people think, hey, if my bet gets home, I don't care how much juice I'm laying. I'll lay minus 250 for $100 take back as long as I'm cashing the ticket. What do I care? I just personally, for the way I manage my bankroll, it sounds like you agree, I try and stay juice adverse. So
I mean, when I'm parlaying games, if I'm doing a money line parlay, I don't really care what the juice is because I'm getting better odds anyway. But especially with a 5-game slate, I'm not laying the juice at 165. But if you don't care and you're one of those guys that's just going to run it, then the Steels is a lock for me this week on the money line.
Boom. How about that? Now, we will caution you, while we use terms like lock and stone cold of the week, even some of your best bets are going to lose about 50% of the time. So caution, folks, that you always want to definitely be managing your bankroll responsibly. And, don't go pulling off the rubber band unless you want to. Like, I'm not going to stop you, but I think just for disclaimer's sake, I always tell people bet responsibly. Sure. But, do whatever the hell you want. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to be at the counter with you. So bet whatever the hell you want. It ain't my problem. Just
like I always say, man, sports are random. Nothing's ever a lock, but I feel good about it. And but you never know. You never know. Yeah. I mean, really, in any sports betting, a quote unquote lock is anything that's got, to me, a 70+% chance of hitting, but there's always that 30%. That's a big number. So
yeah, great point. That's what I mean. Is even I got some 30% on tests in my day, man, but I still got them home. You know what I mean? It was against all odds.
Still landed.
it was against all odds, but I still got it home. All right, we know what you're here for, folks. You're here to figure out what we got for our best bets for our EMOs. So without any further ado, hit it, Tina. You're simply the best. Oh yeah.
Dude, they played that commercial on like primetime football.
I know.
I think of you every time it plays.
Well, what came first, the chicken or the egg? What came first, us playing this song on Best Bets or the commercial? You know what came first, Parker. It's fucking ridiculous, man. They're
robbing you. That's what I'm saying.
I should be getting royalties. Ain't nobody was listening to Tina Turner in this day and age till I started pulling her back up by the bootstraps. All right, best bet time. I'll bat lead off here, and then I'll throw it your way, Parker.
Sure.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. My best bet this week, I'm going with Rochester plus the 2.5. Look, only 3 games thus far, and when you're getting 2.5, the dogs in those games are 3-0 ATS when you're getting that 2.5. So, the Firewolves, they had a week off last week. Now you're fighting through the old rest versus rust analogy. They only scored 9 goals in week 1. The Nighthawks had 13 in week 1. They cooled off a little bit against the Bandits, but hey, who hasn't? They've been one of the better teams thus far. So it boils down for me, Parker, to the fact that I don't know how long we're going to keep seeing these 2.5 spreads. I know in the PLL, they evaporated pretty quickly after we kept cashing them. Yeah. So I might get burnt on it, but like you said earlier, I'm rolling with them until the wheels fall off. Give me Rochester plus the 2.5. Best bet for me. Where are you going, my man?
I love that, man. It's hard for me to not pick the plus 2.5 purely because it's a plus 2.5.
That's what I mean. It's like they're not going to hit all of the time, but even if it's now going 3-1, I still have some nice money in my pocket. It's the best bet for me, man. If I see a 2.5 on the board, it's almost like formulaic. Give me the 2.5. Have a good night. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way I'm looking. Man.
But hey, this is our second lacrosse league, and they're still cashing, so you might as well ride it, man.
That's what I'm saying. And honestly, for what it's worth, with the Firewolves being off for a week, I'm never going to back a dog on the spread that I don't think has a chance to win the game. Mm-hmm. I think that they are live to win the game. I know that moneyline favorites have been automatic cash them and stack them. I think Rochester is live to win this game. If I'm getting points, give me the 2.5 all day long. That's the best bet for me, man.
I honestly, I feel guilty taking this one from you. We talked about it before, and I wanted to let you have the play purely because it's a Philly play. But I love the Wings plus 1.5.
Let's go, baby. That's
Love
what I'm
the Wings
talking
plus 1.5.
about. Make the case for the folks.
I mean, the Wing, they're averaging 13 points a game. They are averaging 13 points a game. That is second in the league in points per game. I just want to say 13 points per game.
Really stress it for him. 13. 1-3. Taylor Swift style.
It doesn't
baby.
sound like a lot, but I mean, the Rock, they're averaging 8.5. The Wings haven't covered yet. That's fine. I mean, when you are sitting out here on automatically a 4-point advantage, just looking at the box scores, I don't understand how you don't take that. I just like I was saying about defenses earlier, you're already up on this team. You know your offense can produce. If it's going to be a race to the finish, whether it's an over or an under, I'm not going to say it's going to be an over because it's a sinful thing to do in this house. But we're taking the Wings, beating the Rock in the foot race, probably.
So boom, you're taking the 1.5 Wings plus 1.5, the best bet for Parker. And, to bolster your point, you mentioned the fact that, hey, they haven't covered a game yet. This is also the first game the Wings are getting any points in. So sure, they might have not gotten home covering any games yet. They were also laying 2.5 to the Riptide. This is the first time they're getting points. That makes me like that play even more. I'm co-signing it with you, man. Which brings us to that extra money opportunity. Ooh. Always love it when I hear the OJs because that means it's money making time. Look, it's been tough trying to get any of these plus money plays home because the favorites have just been crushing it. But I feel like you're going to go the step further. You think the Wings are going to cover the spread. I think your EMO is that the Wings are going to win the damn game.
Oh no, they're winning. They're taking.
Tell them the EMO, baby.
I gotta make sure I take this one. So I made sure I felt really confident because I gotta show Brian who's boss around here. But we're taking the Wings money line plus 120 because, like I said, it's gonna be a foot race. If you want to feel safe, play the spread. If you want to be correct, like me and my boy newbie here with the hat. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Not messing around, bro.
Take the money line. Just take the money line. It's gonna be a foot race, and the Rock it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. They can't keep up with Wings. We're flying, man.
Man, I like it how your EMO kind of turned into almost like a wrestling promo. You call out Brian, you call out The Rock. Man, you're going to have some angry Torontoans getting in those mentions at Parker Blake 60. That's what it's all about. He's going with the Wings money line and his best bet. He's looking at the Wings plus 1.5. And all Wings affair. I love it. For my EMO, I'm looking at a team that I just don't think the market is respecting right now. I'm looking at Vancouver on the money line plus 155. They're 2-0. And not only are they 2-0, they earn both those wins on the road. They're outscoring their opponents by 7 points, and they're finally returning home. You look the other way, and, they're not only underdogs, they're big underdogs. Rush are laying minus 175. On the road against a 2-0 team. Now, look, I get it. The Rush are desperate. They're looking for their first win of the season, but it just makes no sense to me. Sometimes if a line makes no sense to me, I stay away. In this case, in a lower volume market, I think there's value on a Vancouver team that I don't think the market has caught up to how damn good they are. My EMO plus 155, Vancouver money line. It might be too good to be true, but I'm riding it. Give me that plus money. Again, to recap, I got my man Parker Blake on the Wings money line, plus 120, Wings plus 1.5, his best bet. And my best bet going to be Rochester getting the 2.5 goals. So, Parker, that pretty much does it, man. I appreciate you hanging out with me. No better way to spend a weeknight getting the folks ready for the slate. Appreciate you coming on, my man. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to, throw some shade at Canada. It's always a pleasure being on Man Maybe Talks, man.
Appreciate you, brother. Again, you can follow him at Parker Blake 60. Sign up for the wait list for the Bet On Lacrosse Report. Make the most informed decisions when you're betting. The only way you can do that is with the Bet On Lacrosse Report. Be sure to follow us at Bet On Lacrosse, at Pro Lacrosse Bets, and let us know which team's odds you like the best. maybe chirp at us a little bit. Maybe you're a Toronto Rock fan who ain't liking the smack we're talking with the Philadelphia Wings. Regardless, thank you for listening. Make sure you tune in throughout the season as we preview all the lines and we help you bet on lacrosse. Until next week, for the man behind the scenes, Hutton Jackson, for my co-host, Parker Blake, for the man, Brian Andrews, I'm Dan Alexander, and we'll talk to you next week.